Welcome to PROFITIZE training video. In this video, you will learn how to manually enter inbound shipment expense in PROFITIZE. Click on the Transactions tab. Click on the Add Transaction button. Click on the Buy button. Click on the Services button. Click on the Shipment button. Click on the Inbound Shipment button. Click on the Received Service button. Click on the Not Paid button if you did not pay in advance. Otherwise, click on Partially Paid or Fully Paid, as appropriate. Click on the Fully Paid button if you fully paid for the inbound shipment. Otherwise, click on Not Paid if you have not yet paid for the service. Click on the Direct button if the inbound shipment is directly attributed to bringing inventory to its present location and condition. These costs are typically included in the cost of inventory, including freight charges, meaning the cost of transporting goods from the supplier to your warehouse or production facility. Import duties and taxes, including customs duties, tariffs, and other taxes paid when importing goods. Insurance during transit, including insurance costs specifically for goods while they are being transported from suppliers. Handling costs, including direct costs associated with loading, unloading, and moving goods during inbound transportation. And shipping container costs, including expenses for renting or purchasing shipping containers used for inbound transportation. Otherwise, click on the Indirect button if the inbound shipping cost is not directly attributable to specific inventory items, but are necessary for the overall inbound logistics operations. These costs are typically treated as period expenses. Examples include warehouse overheads, including the costs associated with operating a receiving warehouse, such as rent, utilities, and general maintenance. Salaries of receiving staff, including wages and benefits for employees involved in general receiving activities, not tied to specific shipments. Depreciation of equipment, including depreciation expense for forklifts, conveyor belts, and other equipment used in the receiving process. General logistics management costs, including salaries and expenses related to managing the overall inbound logistics operations. IT systems, costs associated with inventory management and logistics software systems. Now that you have successfully answered all category questions regarding the transaction related to the inbound shipment transaction, you will need to start entering other details of your transaction in the input fields. Note that input fields with asterisks are required fields, where you must enter data. Required input fields are followed by optional input fields, where you should enter as much data as possible. Click on the calendar icon. Click on the date you received the inbound shipment service, for example, July 4, 2024. Click on the VAT amount required input field. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the VAT amount, for example, 15. Click on the Next button to move to the next screen. Click on the amount including VAT required input field. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, amount including VAT, for example, 115. Click on the percent of cost allocated to production required input field. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the percent of cost allocated to production, for example, 100, meaning 100% of the inbound shipping cost, in this transaction, should be allocated to the production or manufacturing of finished goods by your business. Click on the Next button to move to the next screen. Click on the supplier business name required input field. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the supplier business name, for example, Supplier Limited A. Click on the supplier BIN number optional input field. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the supplier BIN number, for example, this 9-digit number. Click the Next button to move to the next screen. Click on the supplier contact name field to enter the supplier's contact name. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the supplier contact name, for example, Wendy. Click on the Type of Shipment optional input field. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the type of shipment, for example, C. Click on the Next button to move to the next screen. Click on the Quantity optional input field. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the quantity of products you received in this inbound shipment transaction, for example, 5. Click on the Unit of Measure field to select the unit of measure for the quantity. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the unit of measure, for example, number. Click the Next button to move to the next screen. Click on the type of fuel, in other words, the type of energy used by the products shipped to you. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the type of fuel, for example, liquefied natural gas. Click on the Name of Bank Debited optional input field, if you paid for this shipment transaction through a digital payment method or a check. Leave blank if you paid with cash. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the name of the bank debited, for example, my bank. Click on the Bank Account Number optional input field. Enter, or select from the searchable drop-down list, the bank account number, for example, this 9-digit number, if you paid for this shipment transaction through a digital payment method or a check. Leave blank if you paid with cash. Click on the Notes optional input field, and begin entering your notes related to this transaction, for example, my notes. Click on the Upload Docs optional button to upload documents supporting this transaction. Click on the Finish button to complete the transaction process. Click on the Transactions tab to view your transaction history. Click on the Supplier Limited 8 transaction to view the summary of this transaction in the Transaction List view. Then, click in the middle of the transaction summary to inspect details in the Transactions page view. Drag the scroll bar to view under Details and Management Data. Click on the Repeat button if you want to manually enter an identical transaction. Be sure to view our training video on how to use the Repeat button before you use the Repeat button. In this video, you learn how to manually enter inbound shipment expense in PROFITIZE. For more training videos, visit PROFITIZE YouTube channel.